see why you think you belong to me. Never tried to make you think or let you see one thing for yourself. Now you're lost with someone else and I'm alone. You see, I thought I might keep you for my home. Hey, baby, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Don't you think the time is right for us to find all the things we thought were probably could be by the time? And can't you see which way we should turn together or alone? I can never see what's right or what is wrong. Won't you take too long to tell me, Amy, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Now it's come to what you want, you've had your way. And all the things you thought before just faded into gray. And can't you see that I don't know if it's you or if it's me? If it's one of us, I'm sure we both will see. Won't you look at me and tell me, hey, me, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Hey, me, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Falling in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love with you. Don't know what I'm gonna do. Falling in and out of love with you. Thank you. Christopher Robin again? All right. I'll let Kathy sing an original song that she wrote, that she and I do together. It's not Loggins and Messina's Christopher Robin, but that's what the song's called anyway, because she wrote it first.
Christopher Robin, why do you do the things you do? Christopher Robin, why do you do the things you do? You used to be such a sweet child, now Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mike Gursky. I'm with the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership. I want to welcome all of you. We're going to head downstairs in a second, but I want to thank Jack and Kathy for playing a little bit of music, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we could have here in the future. I work with the Tamaqua Area Community Partnership, which is a local nonprofit charity that many of you may not have ever heard of, but you might know some of the work that we do, like Depot Square Park, or the Spirit of Christmas Festival, or we help with the facade at the Dolce Casa. We do a lot of different things in the community, but we're a local nonprofit charity. We've been around for quite a while. We do the art gallery at the chamber office, and we recently purchased this property, and appreciate you coming out. For those of you who were here on Tuesday or Thursday or yesterday, I appreciate you coming out and taking a tour and getting a little more familiar with the facility, and thank you for your interest. And for those of you who filled out the questionnaire, thank you for that too. We're going to head downstairs in a couple of minutes to talk a little bit more about and get your ideas of what we could possibly do with this facility. But I want to thank a few people before we do that. I want to thank Jack and Kathy for their help, not only playing music today, but also throughout the week playing tour guides and hosts for people as they came through the building. I want to thank Tom Morose, who's in the back. He's going to be facilitating a conversation downstairs, and he'll be giving instructions and explaining what we're going to be doing. And so I want to thank him not only for that, but also Tom has helped us financially, our charity financially, to be able to be in a position to be able to acquire this property. The Tamaqua Area Community Partnership does a lot of different things in the community, and this is one part of what we do. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about just putting it in context, because we've helped with the Main Street program and the Southward Neighborhood Improvement Committee, and a lot of our downtown revitalization and economic development efforts. And recently we started the Tamaqua Safety Initiative, which focuses on this 309 corridor through town. And so this is right in the heart, this building is right in the heart of that area as well. And so really this is much larger than just one building. The community partnership is about comprehensive community development. And as part of that is arts and culture, and also reusing our existing buildings for a productive purpose. And I know that there's a couple people here who helped. We loaded 40 yards of two 40-yard trailers, or 40-yard dumpsters worth of garbage out of there's three houses on the property, and we filled two 40-yard trailers with garbage. There were squatters and boxes of drug paraphernalia and pornography and all sorts of other nasty stuff. And so I know that there's a few volunteers here, I'm not going to point you out, who helped to do that dirty business. So I want to thank those guys too, because one thing, in addition to the positive things that we can do here, our nonprofit was very much interested in making sure that this didn't become a blighted and unused and nefarious place. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today, and thank you when we go downstairs for your honest and open input and your ideas. It's nice to see so many young people here, because I think this is a place where that could be a good thing for the community, and hopefully you'll be able to help us. And so we appreciate you coming out there today. Did I miss anything, Tom?
There's coffee, and you grab that before you sit down.
Just a couple of logistics. There is only one restroom. It's on the ground, on the main floor where we're going to be meeting, and so we'll ask you to be patient with each other and take turns. There's coffee and cookies and things like that. So I think that's it. We can just go downstairs and we'll turn it over to Tom.
Hand out now, Michael?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hard ass.
I forgot to thank Andy.
Oh, Kevin.
Don't forget to
Okay.
Thank you again for coming. It's a great turnout. It's great to fill this room. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Tom Morose, and I live in New York City, but I'm connected. I have a house that I come out to on weekends to Tamaqua, and I've been involved with Tamaqua for years. I was involved down at Stonehenge for many years, and have known Russell Keek for a long time. For those of you that know who he is. And I got to know Micah maybe about 6 months ago when he came to New York to meet a couple of artists that were looking at how to convert industrial space and other space into usable space for the arts. And we really connected at that time. And when he told me about this project, I was really excited about the possibilities of it. And I shared with him a process for dialogue that I have used in the past. It's called World Cafe, and the idea is we really want to get all of your input to really make this a center that everybody feels that they have an opportunity to present their ideas and to have them heard. I'll explain a little bit more about the process in a minute, but I just want to, we're basically going to go, for those that have seen the survey before, we're going to go through some of those survey questions in a little more depth and it'd be an opportunity to pull all the ideas together today. I want to thank George Taylor for being the author of those questions, and he's had a lot of experience with community surveys and has done several before, I think, or at least one that I'm aware of, and going across all the churches in the area. And I also want to thank Kevin Smith, who's been very involved. Micah mentioned some people that have helped clean the place out and get it ready for this meeting today. And Kevin and Lauren are two of the people as well. So just a little bit about the process that we're going to use. It's called World Cafe. It was developed by a friend of mine like 10 years ago, and she's been refining it ever since. And it's been used anywhere from groups of 15 to groups of over 500 or 600, just to try to pull everybody's ideas together from a community or from a large organization. The idea is we only have one table. Ideally, we would have many small tables that would be more like a cafe setup, where we would be 4 or 5 people at each table. So what I want to do is split all the tables. If there are 8 of you at the table, split up into 2 groups of 4. If there are, you can decide whether you want to work as one group. Yeah, probably if there's like 5 of you who work together as one group at one table, you can do that. But we're gonna go through these questions. We're gonna have a couple of rounds, and I want you to use your creative process. You'll see markers on the table and big pieces of paper. So I want you to be creative and write your ideas down and capture. If you're graphically oriented, you can draw pictures. You can make lists of things so you don't forget them. We're really going to use what you write down. We're going to take all this information and try to see where the trends are. But part of the process is we're going to go through 2 or 3 rounds and ask different questions. And we want to mix up the ideas and cross-fertilize ideas among tables. So we're going to ask you to get up and move tables at certain points. So we want to designate like one table host that will not be moving when you go, and the other people will get up and go to another table and mix up at the right time. So why don't first thing you want to do is decide who your table host is. So you guys, I'm going to walk through and just see whether we see one table or 2. You guys just You guys are good. One table host for each side. You guys today, and what do we expect from all of you? We'll go over particular questions, but it's really how to use this space. As Micah mentioned, TACP has recently acquired this building, and it has a general vision to use it as an arts center. But that's kind of the skeleton of the place. We really want to be more specific about what you feel the needs are and what this space should be used. There's a ground floor on the that has been used as a kitchen and more of a recreational space. For those, let me see, how many of you have been on the tour? It's been open for an open house during the week. And who has not seen all the floors? Okay, so you may want to do that there. So there's a ground floor, and then you've seen the main church hall, and then there's this floor that was more of a chapel space and possibly a Sunday school space at one point. So it's really, we'll go through the three questions on how what kinds of things you would like to see happening in this building. So that's basically question number one that I want you to start thinking about. Like, how do you see this building being used? You can go through, and the role of the table host is to make sure everybody is heard at the table, that not one person is dominating the conversation. And then if you are, and you can be writing your ideas down, waiting for your time to talk or whatever when you're at the table. But the host should make sure that everybody has an opportunity to talk. So that's the first question I'm posing to all of you. So you have your pens out, and now how do you see, what is your vision for this building? What are your aspirations for how this space should be used? Just very quickly, what we're going to do is we're really going to take all this information in, and I'll talk more at the end about how we're going to continue the conversation and make this information available online. There'll be an ongoing updating on how things are proceeding. Does that give you more of a framework? Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with that. Let's write your ideas down, talk about it with each other. Introduce yourselves if you don't know each other.
Sorry, that's all I knew.
You stay where you are, and I want everybody else to get up and go to a different table. And try to go, wait, try to go with somebody you don't know. Use the chairs. I'll give you 2 minutes to switch seats and mix it up. Don't all go like 7 people go all around the table. Mix it up. So the table host, raise your hands again. What I want the table host to do is to explain the vision of what happened during the first conversation. We're We're going to take 5 minutes to do that, kind of update what's written on your papers and summarize the ideas that came out of the first round. And then the topic of this conversation is, here's the vision for what we want. What are the challenges that we have from realizing the vision that we set before? And so the first 5 minutes is summarizing the vision from the other group, and then the other people can share what came from their tables, so just to bring other ideas that might have come to add. And you can write on in another color ideas that you have from the table that you came from that might add to whatever vision was at the current table that you're at right now. So does that make sense? All right, and then I'll let you know when the 5 minutes is up. Then you're going to go into what are the challenges that might prevent the realization of the vision that you laid out for this building. Okay? Any questions before we start? All right. Start round 2. He's been sharing their ideas. There's a lot of good stuff written on your individual flip charts. What we'd like to do is start gardening like the ideas to see if there's a diversity of ideas or there's any like thread that's tying together like all the tables. So we want to, so we're just going to, Kevin's going to help me. We're going to document some of the major points that are coming out of each table. So we can start with the table host, kind of summarizing the ideas that came out of your table. So we'll start over on this side. We'll document it all up here, and then we'll see where there's similarities, where there's differences. Just, vision. Just like bullet points. So some of the, yes.
All right, we're going to give you from the top here. Starting with live performances, possibly concert or piano concert nights, open mic nights. I'm going too fast, aren't I?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Do you want to do some of those ones?
Yeah, we're along the lines of like art and entertainment and stuff. One thing we have down is like screen printing. You can make shirts that promote bands, make posters and stuff, and
well, I just want to interrupt once. We're not going to capture every detail, Kevin, but we're gonna be taking all your sheets and then we'll summarize it into a document form and share it back out. But you're just capturing the
That's
major
more
points.
representative of like the multi, like with the screen print, how that worked into like the bands and the different, graphic designers and kind of like the multi,
Crossover.
crossover
Yeah,
arts.
so you captured the way you're doing it, Kevin. It's not critical that you capture every detail, but you capture the essence of what people are saying.
You could use that as a fundraiser too, to raise money.
Yeah.
art shows, art displays for, amateur artists and things like that. Even if you had a projector, you can, use or movies and games, you can screen here, just to bring people in. That was some of the general stuff that we had. Use the kitchen to cook for fundraisers, raise money for this place, and I don't know whoever's putting the fundraiser on.
Was there anything else? This is all one table here, right? Okay.
I was thinking about doing karaoke. Like
Karaoke.
nights.
All right, that's good. Are you going to lead that?
Karaoke for kids sounds good.
And then we could sew, I guess,
Okay.
and then have classes for knitting and sewing and making cloths. And then we can have music lessons. And pottery wheel.
Pottery wheel? That sounds good. Okay. All right. So, you can just summarize the major points coming out, and then we'll capture all the details when write down if we don't capture the detail, but we will get all of your detail. So how about this table?
We had a lot of the same kind of ideas as the last table, since most of us came from over there. But before we got here, and we kind of collaborated on some other things. They were talking about a coffee shop. Would be a way to bring in money. Having people available for help, such as counselors, so if younger kids needed a place to go or needed someone to talk to, rather than, they might not be able to confide in someone in school or someone at home, so coming in here and talking to a musician or an artist might be more appealing to them, you know, rather than someone in the tie getting paid an hourly wage to see them, you know. They're also talking about journalism workshops, photography classes, art classes, or workshops. Talking about using the kitchen for fundraisers, you know, anything like making hoagies or, you know, anything like that. Any way to raise money to help out this space, you know. They were talking about getting organized, how to do this, like some of the problems, you know.
Well, that'll be the next question, is the problems. Well, this is the vision with, yeah, so we'll go around the tables again and pull the challenges out. So does that capture the major points?
Maybe having people donate, like maybe some PlayStations or video games for younger kids, somewhere to go, and, you know.
Okay, good. Anything else? No?
No, it's pretty much it.
Okay, how about in the corner?
I'll just hit the major points. Performing Arts Center, and including in that, like, maybe having like snow day concerts and things like that in the wintertime, a place that kids can come. So
On snow days,
especially if like they have a two-parent household where people are working. Having it be a place where people can make connections outside of Tamaqua, where if you have some musical talent, maybe someone can come in and you can, you know, have some connections formed and made. Family and arts nights, which I think would be included in like the crocheting and ideas and things like that. Integrating other places within the community to utilize the space that maybe then you could, you know, also have it as a way of maybe bringing some money in. We also had the coffee house and internet type space like they did. A video studio where for any type of video making, but you know, hitting on maybe having people come in and give like a 5-minute tidbit of something that they remember about Tamaqua from whether it be back in 1950 or moving forward, you know. I mean, it's neat to think about things like that. Film festivals and movie nights, art shows and lessons, some like maybe bringing Big Brother, Big Sister programs in, and you know, introductions of different types of musical instruments. Not just, okay, this is what's in the area, but how about somebody seeing what's a marimba, or what's this, or what's that?
Hammer, dulcimer.
You know, have an introduction of the music and the arts. You can take that to the arts too. I mean, an introduction of what is batiking, what is painting on silk, what is crocheting, you know, like bringing more than just what is in our limited minds, you know, from the outside world in, so.
Okay, good, thanks. How about you guys?
Well, we're really hitting a lot of stuff, and people are really hitting the same things. Some of the things that we saw that were a little different than up there, you know, family movie nights, scrapbooking or art show type of things, creative, I'm looking for it, I have it written down here too, arts and crafts, club meetings like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, things like that. After school tutoring, I know some schools use kids need community service hours, that kind of thing. Bingo was one of them. Photography, teen dances, hall rentals. They're going really fast.
Well, yeah, as long as you got it down on the paper, we'll capture it.
Yeah. Garage band space was one of them. You know, for aspiring artists who can't play at home or practice at home. Another thing we had was possibly having some outside performers come in to entertain. A lot of the things that we talked about centered around family. So the possibility of family kinds of groups that could gather here as well.
Cool. Good. Excellent. How about you guys?
I'll talk about the things that are perhaps weren't mentioned. Everybody's covered the arts a lot. We all agree having a variety of these things is nice. It could be broader than the arts. It could be interest groups, and we could reach out to other organizations that would want to use the space as well for different things. We could look at what other towns are doing with similar spaces and take some of their ideas and maybe even have some exchange type things going on, tie in with local schools and colleges. I know a lot. I know I'm here because of finding out about it on Facebook. So the online presence of what's going on here is important. I would like to see an online calendar and maybe email listserv or something like this for different topic interest groups, where if somebody wanted to use the space on a particular night for a particular event, there would be a process that they could go through to reserve that. When we get, I guess, to the next round, we'll talk about, I imagine, how different levels of trust and authority within the organization and how to have, whether there's going to be memberships and things like this. But that was some of the things we talked about. One of my own ideas was, I like the idea of an organization that would be built around a festival that would be in the springtime or in the fall, and a lot of what the group does is planning for that festival. There'd be a lot of things going on, but a lot of the things is sort of just practice for this big festival, and the big festival comes around, and it includes not just what's on the stage or what's the attraction, but all the related logistics of this, of setting up the festival. So, and you can include the artists, you can include all the different performers. Let's see, what else? And so you could do things besides arts. I mean, if there's going to be musicians here, they're going to need to know how to repair their guitars and amps and stuff when they break. Let's have some electronics, have some, computer literacy type of things. Certainly the place should have a Wi-Fi hotspot, and you'll have printers and things here. So you could open it during the day, have a base of memberships of people who work at home that want to have an office, they want to leave home and work in a so-called office during the day. Maybe it won't be used. They can come in here with their laptop and have this be their space and maybe pay $20 a month or something for that or something like this. So in Lancaster we have an organization like that where it's actually pretty thriving, where it's just every seat is filled and people run their home businesses out of this group shared space. I'm not saying that's what this should be for, but there's a lot of possibilities. People talk about weekly events. I like the idea of having something that people can count on a regular basis, whether it's a seasonal festival or a monthly thing that happens for that particular group, a weekly thing, schedule type thing. You could even eventually get to the point of having the video group within the center. They could have a weekly television show, something like this, or a little showcase, or monthly, or something like that. So anyway, these are some of the things.
That's great. Thanks. Guys in the back?
We talked about different things with the groups that were here as far as using all the rooms so that there's always the possibility to make money in all the different places, whether it be, there's something going on with the arts here or upstairs. You could be renting out the bottom for a baby or bridal shower just to make money, just to not have rooms sitting empty and not making money when there's always a need for those types of places. And to even have what they talked about with lessons, these 2 small rooms. I have a recording studio in my house. It doesn't take much to do recording or video recording in these 2 smaller rooms while other things are going on, just a soundproofing issue. Different holiday events, checking out the Summit Hill Heritage Center, same thing, it's a church that now I DJ there. They have, they have weddings there. They have the reception on one side and then you can go in there and get married on the other side. It's unique. It's, a lot of people are scaling down their events, and it's a great place to have something like that here. Not saying that would be the only thing, but it's just a way to generate income in the months, because somebody books a wedding, they're not going to cancel their wedding because of the weather. It happens no matter what. So, that's a way to make money on an event. But to work with Linda, she's over there I think somewhere, to not compete with the things, still have holiday events, but not compete with something like the Spirit Christmas Festival, like maybe tie it in, have it be another location to come to see entertainment. I do an event every year at Christmas time for the kids in Lansford at Kelly's, where Santa comes, and it's for kids that don't get to see Santa. So there's a lot of different things you could do and have multiple events going on, but like he talked about, some poor person needs to be that online calendar person to make sure things don't get double and triple booked that you can't handle, but to not just have one event at a time, to try to constantly, whether it be weather related, that there's always something going on that can be making money in some form or another.
That's great. Thanks. Anything else? We'll come right around back.
Okay, pretty much it sounds like a lot of the same stuff is on a lot of these papers here. We're talking about multi-generational cultural activities such as dancing, music, arts, classes, crafts, and so on and so forth. We're talking about festivals. I think Sam had mentioned festivals. Back in the old days when Lakewood Park was up and running, we had different the Irish festival, the Italian festival, different things like that.
Yay!
Festivals.
Miss Lakewood Park.
Yes,
Summer festival.
now, of course, we can't put the wild mouse in here, but we can certainly do the music, okay? We could do Lithuanian, Ukrainian. There is a kitchen downstairs so that the food could be actually tied into the dancing and the music. Different things of that nature. Also, summer music camps. A lot of the kids from our area leave the area to go to different colleges for summer music camps. Why not have them here? We could do different, we're talking already about doing the different classes and everything. Why not have an entire camp type of a thing where the kids come for the week, maybe not be able to stay here, but at least the kids in the area would be having not to travel out of the area and have less of an expense than having to pay for their lodging at one of the colleges. So here's another idea. Dancing, I don't know if we even touched on dancing. Did we touch on any dance classes or like ballroom dancing or different types of classes in that nature? Somebody also mentioned the listening house, like a Godfrey Daniels type style thing. And what else? What am I missing here, Becky?
I forgot to mention comedy. We had comedy.
Between like dancing classes and even some exercise classes were mentioned on at our table. Square dancing, different types of dancing. Some live auctions also were mentioned over here. Flea markets, auction house kind of things to bring in some revenue. And what else did we see here? We have pretty much, I think we hit on almost everything else. Oh, comedy shows. Did anybody mention comedy shows?
Just did. I like that one.
Too late, we get to it.
Listen, with all
You're funny, we did the first one.
all the
Family.
stuff going on in this room, I think we have our own comedy show the way it is. So we don't even need to bring anybody else in. Antique craft classes, like crafts from like days gone by. There's different things such as, I know we couldn't actually do blacksmithing in here, but we could maybe have something like wool spinning. There are some people in the area that I believe they have, was it alpacas? Over in Barnesville. You know, we could have people come in and actually show us the classes of crafts of days gone by, not just your newer kind of things. Pretty much, I think the possibilities are endless.
I could bring some buffaloes in.
Buffalo. Scott said he's gonna cook them. Brain tanning. Photography classes. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything else that we have on our page.
That's the whole table there then?
Yep.
Okay. All right. How about you guys?
Split up here, so this half of the table. What we've come up with so far was, most of the stuff here was already covered. Live performances could include also neat, little performances that we may never have heard of before, and just maybe have a time that we could have people come in and do pretty much anything, and whatever they want to do. We thought it might be cool if we had like a merchandise area for people who do perform here, like bands to sell t-shirts or CDs or whatever. We came up with maybe like an arcade or some kind of entertainment for people to come and enjoy that. Classes were already touched on. Collaboration between activities was also mentioned briefly, but we thought it would be cool if we had all the different activities here kind of work together to help each other out. you know, like artists making flyers for other kind of things, and you know, anything that we think that we could help each other out, we could probably do. And I think that's pretty much it.
Great, thanks. The other half of the table?
We touched on pretty much the same things, but we're thinking of more of the classes, like art classes, dancing classes. We're thinking of where people can come and show their talent. We have here, this seemed to be a hit, a kibasi eating contest.
Is that you, Mike?
We thought that was pretty interesting. Thinking of a film festival, kind of.
We'll combine that with the comedy night.
Thinking of people my age, I know that people would want to come out and support this and do, like, what they're interested in, being able to come here and doing what they want to do, you know, like acting and singing and dancing, but that's pretty much it.
Okay, sounds good. Did you catch that kibasi thing?
One thing that wasn't mentioned was like area writers, fledgling authors who might want to, you know, share ideas, give dramatic readings, maybe write
Poetry,
a play.
too.
Yeah, maybe write a play that'll a drama club here might put on.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else from the?
Oh, yeah, one more. I think everybody's mentioned everything that's on our sheet, you know, the gift shop, the classes, all of that. One of the things that we did talk about though was making sure that we take this place and work it to integrate and coordinate with events, venues, and even businesses or other organizations that are in the area. Not to duplicate
From other communities.
From other communities, from wherever. To make sure that we can be part of that creative network and not try to make a whole new hub, that creative network, but to just
There are
integrate
things in
ourselves.
Jinsdorf and Pottsville going on.
Yeah, right, to just really get ourselves into that, you know, to make sure that we can form that creative network for the people who are gonna use the center. But other than that, all the other ideas.
Really, that big list, it was covered?
Yeah,
Wow, all
honestly.
right.
Yeah, rehearsal space, mommy and me classes, drumming, that was one that, we have mommy and me drumming classes. That was something that wasn't put up there. Yeah. And the only other thing was setting up a recording studio, and I think that was already mentioned. And consignment gift shop, anybody, you know, could use that, which would also help to generate some income if that was done in here too.
Great.
You had another idea, Linda, didn't you?
What's that?
You had another idea, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did. I did. The other idea that I had would be to rent out the kitchen space. There's a lot of food art out there and a lot of edible, people who are very creative in the food end of it and looking for space for certified kitchens that they may not have available or capable of doing that in their own home. So having a certified kitchen that could be rented out for their use would also
We
be
also do
another.
like different kinds of ethnic cooking classes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, which would give you, it's kitchen art and would give you a whole other area of art, talent,
Yeah.
crafts.
That's great.
Close
Wow.
to mine.
Wow, that's a really rich list, and it's great to hear that by the time we got around, I know that there's the whole list there, that a lot of it was
Most of it was
covered.
covered.
So that shows there is some a thread between what a lot of people thinking. So I guess, you know, the other thing, we're not going to spend as much time on the challenges. We'll you know, it'll be more like raise your hand and show the challenges rather than going to every table. But let's get a list of the challenges, that's the biggest challenge you think there will be to realizing a lot of this. So we'll quickly, who wants to share the challenges they came up with?
We came up with 7 in particular: money, competing with schools or other groups, volunteers, you know, teaching, chaperoning, that kind of thing, Making sure that the right people are in the key positions to help facilitate and make sure things move forward. Making the place handicap accessible. Finding people who might be willing to volunteer for upkeep, like contractors or plumbers, that maybe instead of having to pay for some services, maybe having some people who are willing to, donate to the upkeep. And just, making sure that when we're, like, let's say you want a theater club to come in, that they realize what the limitations are. Like, you're not gonna have a theater group come in here that has 15 different sets that they have to put up and tear down. People have to understand what the limitations are and before they come, because otherwise if they get here and they're disappointed, they're not gonna wanna come back.
So summarize that as like good communication.
Right, so
Yeah.
making sure people understand what is available and what isn't available.
Okay. Other challenges?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, just getting the word out to the community would be part of that good communication thing, like I said. One of the other challenges we had was parking. What are we gonna do for parking? What it was like just to find parking spot just to come in here. Establishing the organization itself. I'm sure there's gonna be a whole hurdle of challenges there that are probably in the works, but that's something we came up with. Finding a way to appeal to a broad spectrum of interests, but we might just be doing that right now here. And the last one that we have is, I think someone had mentioned before, the scheduling of events, so that there's, not double bookings or just dead space when there doesn't need to be.
Good. So who else has other challenges that weren't mentioned?
Handicap accessibility, that was mentioned?
Yeah.
I guess I should pay attention.
Communication.
Listening, yes. Web design.
Yeah.
I considered this as a full spectrum operation where it'd be nice as a side effect. To me, things like computer programming, web design is on a continuum with playing guitar or playing piano. Except your chances of actually getting a job are much higher, but it's a creative thing, and it's all part of the operation. And so to tie these types of logistic skills in as part of what is taught, as part of what the group does, can serve many functions.
Basically just marketing promotion, like they talk about the wide range of ages. There's people in this room that have Facebook and people that don't. I know I advertise a lot of things on Facebook, but there's gonna be people that don't. We need to make sure that online isn't the only way we're promoting this. I'll do all I can at the radio station, as well as Brandon. Brandon's here, one of my coworkers. And, we'll do all we can to help promote, but we need to hit everybody in every type of media to, get it out there.
Yeah, George had mentioned getting people involved, but not the people who are already involved necessarily, but try to go with their welcome, of course, but try to find the people who are so far uninvolved. The youth, especially youth that don't have activities that they're involved in, to try to reach out to these people. And I also mentioned like wear and tear on the building, things getting banged up. That's especially if people are bringing amps and stuff in on a regular basis. You're going to get things like that.
So just general upkeep.
Yeah, clean up after events, obviously.
Okay. Other things?
I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but they brought up supervision, like during events or anytime that the building's open, basically. They said that.
What was that?
Supervision.
Security.
Accountability.
Supervision, security, and accountability.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Maybe designating a person that could be a contact person if anybody from the community has questions or ideas that could get implemented into a business plan. If there was one central person that could take all that information, it would be beneficial.
I think time may be important, like scheduling, in a sense for making sure that there can be someone here falling into supervision also at the time of the event, and also making sure that planning events at times like things for youth probably shouldn't be planned during school because you can't scheduling might be an issue.
One thing that, for family night and stuff like that, worrying about copyright laws and anything food-wise, for like the health inspector, like what kind of like permits that are gonna be needed to open a kitchen, because if you're doing anything volunteer-wise, you need a certain permit, and who's gonna enforce that?
Right, just staying legal is like a challenge. Right?
Yes, it is.
In general.
So like putting a chef in charge of the.
Well, yeah, because I know like to run a restaurant or anything like that, you need certain permits, you need health inspections, and you need someone certified, and like, I can't even remember the stupid certification name in it, but someone has to be certified to say that it's a safe area and it will pass inspection at all times.
One of the other things that Kevin actually brought up was, and I don't know if this would be a challenge, I would imagine it would be, setting up some type of local resource banking for bartering for services.
Community exchange kind of thing.
Community exchange type of thing.
Of hours, I know they do it down in the valley.
And I think that would be a great way to get people involved to commit, and they have a vested interest in their bartering for space and services, or whatever, even for volunteers for taking care of buildings and maintenance and things like that.
You get like a studio hour if you put a few hours
Exactly.
in.
Yeah. So setting that up might be.
My name's Tamaqua, and I actually ran a festival for Monchunk Lake every year. It's a 5-year thing, and there actually is a fee. You have to pay for anybody to come in here and play any other person's song, copyrighted song. So that is a problem. I mean, it does have to be paid. But if somebody would be performing that song, there is a fee that you pay yearly. That
like an ASCAP.
Right,
yes.
membership, yeah, it would be an annual fee.
So that would be something that you'd have to look into. That would be sort of like, you'd have to look into to do something like that.
It's copyright, you have to. Yeah.
Will this be set up as a 501c3 nonprofit organization?
GACP is a 501c3. Yeah.
So that's what would come under that?
Tamaqua Community Partnership.
Yeah, Tamaqua Community Partnership. Yeah.
Okay. And is there a board and leadership in that already?
Do you want to speak? Well,
Sure. Yeah, the Tamaqua Community Partnership is a local nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization. We do have a board, we have bylaws and things like that. Several of the board members are here today, actually, and the board is very supportive of this and is anxious to help make this happen. So the organizational stuff is sort of already in place. I wouldn't see that changing dramatically. We operate with subcommittees for like the Spirit of Christmas Festival, the Southwood Neighborhood Committee, other efforts in town that have sort of an autonomous and independent nature. And then there's a board that has the ultimate legal governing responsibility for it.
Would there be any paid positions in this organization?
There could be.
That comes with the challenge of money, I think.
Well, also, getting the right leadership.
Yeah.
Which is up there already.
Yep, that's a big plus.
Okay, any?
One thing would be making it openly accessible under a supervised governing body to everybody who wants to utilize the facility. You need to have somebody here at all times, because if it's not able to be open, then people can't use it.
Right, so everything's kind of connected with.
Come out and do it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna suggest we do like another like table session on how to address the challenges, but I think it's better just as an open group session about any ideas. I think as we're addressing the challenges, we're coming up with ideas on how to address them, and I think that's been useful to not just see it as an unsurmountable challenge, but things that we'll deal with as they come up. But
That's a question. Yeah, I'm speaking, I guess, on behalf of the Salvation Army, because we are also a community center. So I'm going to go over a few issues that are, you already mentioned a lot of the issues we have as well as a community center. The biggest issues, believe it or not, comes out to leadership and volunteers. Yeah. So right now we have, you know how it goes, everybody talks, we have a lot of volunteers. But even though you have a lot of people here that are willing to do a lot of work, people always say, well, pick youth groups, pick clubs, organizations, all that kind of stuff, which is good. You pull in the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, all that kind of stuff. Is anybody in the Rotary Lions Club? You know, I am, but I mean, is anybody else? You can use all that to make it grow. You have to pull in the other, everybody has, Tamaqua is only about 8,000 people, 7,000 people. So every organization in the community can work together to make this facility a good organization. I'm not going to say the organizations, but they're all suffering. Volunteers, we even have to, everything we do is, we don't do. We have to either pay to outsource, and it's just a shame. Another thing.
This comes with networking with other existing organizations.
Yeah, that's very, 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 very strong. Plus, back to the leadership, whoever you're going to have as the director here, if you're paid or non-paid, will have to be extremely open-minded on who comes in here, and don't just say, not say no, but just realize that it's a community organization. And yes, you can fill a slot every day. It's because this is a community. If it's closed, people don't know the hours. These are small little things, but they matter. They do matter, like with the Salvation Army. Back at the handicap accessible, grunts. You need people that are dedicated to come here every day to do the work, to mop, to clean, I mean, who's going to do it? It has to get done. Right after the band leaves. You think the band's going to do it? No. You know. So chances are you're going to have to pay somebody, you know, obviously. Also, who's going to follow up on all these great ideas? Will the director follow up on it? Well, is his director going to be here right now? Hopefully he reads that and he takes all this stuff seriously. Do you know what I mean? And plus, what else? Insurance, all that kind of stuff. And in addition to follow up on this, follow up on the bad stuff, you know. And what else is there? There's all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, thank you. I just had to bring that up.
I think that's a good segue. That there's all kinds of stuff, and following up on this and what we're going to do. Yeah, it was mentioned before that we should have some kind of an online presence, and that we would take all these ideas down to the details and put this into and document this and prioritize and think about and what can be done with the resources that are available. We want to continue the conversation and continue to get your input and expand involvement of others as well. So to do that is going to be through the tacp.info that's at the top there. We're going to create a link that you'll be able to log into, and we don't want to make it a completely public site because we really want it to be a productive site that people are contributing to. That we're going to post this information back up, and people can break into different subgroups on it and create spaces where they have a particular interest. There could be a subgroup of people that are interested in dance, or somebody that's interested in theater or in music, and just to continue the conversation that's coming up as things, and for TACP to communicate with everybody on the progress as things are going, or what the needs are, or how we're going to communicate. Micah, do you want to address follow-up to this? Any thoughts that you have?
No, but I think one of the challenges that the community partnership is going to be having with this is how do we continue this? It's nice to have everybody come out and have the input. How do we continue to make sure that it's an open process, that it's a collaborative process, that we continue to engage people? Because anybody here who's been involved with an organization, or groups kind of take on a personality of their own, and then you're in or you're out. And I think that one of the challenges is how do we keep the communication going both ways and crossways, and how do we continue to engage people in it as it progresses? Because I don't think anybody in this room can say exactly how it's going to be at the end of the day. And so there's a lot of good ideas. I don't think anybody here is unrealistic enough to think that we can do everything that everybody has said today. And so there will be decisions that have to be made. There'll be continuing conversations. I think one of the things that we're going to have to use, the web presence, you mentioned Facebook and some other ways of quickly communicating, is how do we continue to communicate back and forth so that we continue to collaborate with people. So I think the website is a really good way to do it. If you haven't been to our website before, you'll find things other than this center on the website, because the community partnership is involved with a variety of different community initiatives. And so I think that's something that I think we need to identify as a challenge and come up with some strategies around how we continue to collaborate, make sure that we continue to get information going back and forth, and make sure that people are heard, because we don't want it to become a closed organization.
So if you're interested and you haven't signed in, there are sheets, sign-in sheets coming in, and on the other open houses earlier this week. You know, even sign in today, and if you signed in earlier in the week, just so we get a sense for who is actually here today. As you're going, if you haven't signed on the sign-in sheets that are outside, and include your email address so we can keep you up to date on how everything's moving forward.
One other thing, the tacp.info website, anybody who identified funding as a challenge, there is a donate now button on our website. And it's tax deductible. And I bring that up explicitly because funding is an issue, and cash is king when you're paying the oil bill. But many people, their employers sometimes have matching fund programs where if you donate, they'll match your donations, things like that. So as you do your charitable giving and you're planning your charitable gifts, keep this organization in mind, and you could dedicate your donation to this organization. Or if you know someone who is benevolent towards the arts and culture and or just loves Tamaqua, you could talk to them about this as a way to do some charitable giving, because let's face it, cash is king when it comes to that.
I have a suggestion, perhaps, like the people that are here today, you have their addresses and their names. Maybe a follow-up survey could be done on what the individuals can bring to the table. Like, you know, I'm interested in the art aspect, somebody else might be interested in the music aspect. And what the, you know, as in the survey, they could say what can they bring, what is their expertise, and what can they do or willing to do? Are they willing to volunteer, or how many hours are they willing, or, you know, and maybe have another meeting of people that are really seriously interested in being on a committee or on a you know, a board of directors or whatever, or the subcommittee of the board of directors or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, to kind of narrow down and maybe get what people are interested in doing and what they can bring to the table.
Because people will stick with what they're really interested in. Really
right. I mean, like you know, with my affiliation in the arts and my experience with, you know, exhibitions, I can do such and such and such. You know, this is what where my interest is and what I want to do. You know, things like that.
We're working toward developing a site where people can self-organize around their particular interests. And so you can find a group of people that's interested in art and what your particular, you know, it could be a dozen people, and another group can be 20 people that are interested in music. So, yeah. So I think we're working toward that. Is there any other? Yeah.
What is your timeline? Because right now, everyone's like, yes, you know, we want to do this, this, and this, but if you wait too long, it's going to go away. So are you guys looking to have this up and going within what, like 6 months, a year? Because I know things like this do take time. How much are you?
Right away.
This, you know, the space is here. You saw how good this condition is.
Yeah, there's like some things that need some cleaning up and stuff like that, but how soon do you want the doors to open? How soon do you want to implement like some of the foundation groups?
Right.
You know?
I know, you know, almost immediately, I see it evolving as people bring energy to it. I think that's your sense too, Micah, if you want to address that as people are ready to propose things, you're ready to listen and start
we already jumped off the cliff. We bought the building, we own it.
You're in the water, you're not
so I don't see any reason. I mean, we're not going to be able to do everything all at once, but you know, I don't see any reason why and not you, and we couldn't begin doing things immediately. I mean, it's very exciting to hear all the ideas and things like that, but you know, it'd be nice to see some of them actually happen and put
Well, who if somebody would come up to me and say, you were at the meeting and I'd like to do this, who would I tell them to contact to get in touch with the building?
Micah.
Yeah, at this point, me.
I mean, a lot of people are gonna say, oh, well, what happened at the meeting? That sounds good. Well, I have this idea. Who do I get in contact with about it?
When can I take my guitar down?
Well, I could go on Facebook, anybody that has ideas, or, you know, on the website.
Kind of
You can
regular
always
meetings,
email,
we
you can always
schedule, like,
message
to
the
follow up on this, like,
person
maybe in
that's
2
chatting
weeks or
Yep.
something, so
Follow up.
everybody that's here can jointly get together and know where you're standing and what changes you've implemented.
Maybe just having periodic open nights here, or late afternoon, early evening.
Because a lot of times
Here,
that's.
We would like to start activity, we would like to see them continue almost like some type of an open house type of thing where people can Even if it's just
There's
for like.
gonna have to be some sort of committee organization that meets on an ongoing basis and talks about these issues and really decides on these issues. Similar to the way we have a Spirit of Christmas committee, and they decide things. Our board of directors approves the building, things like that, as long as it's within budget and legal, there's never really an issue. Same thing with the Southwood Neighborhood Committee, things like that. So, but I think we're gonna need to have some sort of committee organization.
Well, I'd like to be part of a committee for this place, so who would we want to?
I think we're gonna send out kind of an email summary that invites people to an online space. That's specifically the people that are here today and other people that have come to the open houses earlier this week. And then if other people want to join that, we want it to be really constructive and let it grow and evolve rather than just making it completely open to begin with and letting it evolve that way. So I think we'll get feedback within the next week to 10 days about the information that's here and kind of an invitation to that online space. And then we'll plan like different open times that the space will be open for continuing the discussion and coming into particular interest groups that you can form different committees around different topics that we brought up. So I think the bottom line is those, the areas that get the energy, that it's both the human energy and the financial energy the space is available to start being used is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
With that said, since there's no financial outlay yet, is this going to start as like a pay for play for the groups? Or are we just, you have to pay the bills, I know. If I were to say to Micah today, hey, after this is done, I got an idea that I could start next week. Is this, do we have to raise our own funds to rent the space?
It hasn't been decided what the rent would be or how that structure would be.
Okay.
To say there hasn't been any financial outlay, though, I almost fell out my chair.
Well, I used the wrong word. I meant just in our discussion here with structure of how to bring money in and keep self-supporting.
Right.
That was just wrong words.
I just think a committee should be formed first before any major decisions are made.
Say that again?
A committee should be formed for this building first before anything else can be decided on. Because without the individual committee, how can anyone make any decisions except for the main Tamaqua committee, which they're saying, well, it's like a free-for-all basically for the committee of this place, but if there isn't structure.
So like how is when you created committees for other projects like Spirit of Christmas and other things?
They have a chair, they meet regularly, they come up with their budget.
So it'd be you have the governance in place for that already to create a committee for this space. Yeah.
I think one of the things that you just have to think about too before you even go any farther is that, there has to be some sort of a code at which people are coming in here that they understand they have to follow. Like they talked about cleanup, like a man's not going to be responsible for cleanup. Well, why not? If you're renting the space, it should be up to you to leave it the way you found it.
Right.
And yes, in general, you have to have somebody coming in, but there has to be some kind of a guideline that people have to know that they have to follow. And you can't move forward with anything until you have some of those structural type, organizational type things in place. So I think it's great that there's this many ideas in one small room. Can you imagine if more people showed up at this meeting, how many more ideas would have come? But you need, I think at this point what has to happen is there has to be some sort of an organizational guidelines of what we expect, of what is expected the community to follow when they are here. And it's just common sense stuff, but it still has to be there.
And that will evolve as situation things come up too. But you need a starting point.
Yeah, you need a place to start. And I think that some of that, most of where you're going, you have to have that, even if you're just talking about money. There has to be a committee that talks about what kind of fundraising are you doing, what kind of licenses might you need if you're doing it 50-50, or if you're doing an auction, or some of those things require a one-time fee at the courthouse to be able to do those types of things, and other things you can just go out and do when you don't need those things. But everything that's on that list has a starting point, and I think you can't go at it haphazardly. There has to be a structure to how you're going at it, or else it's just ultimately gonna fail anyway. There has to be a structure.
So, yeah, I think following on the existing structure that they have to have a committee around it. So I think when we reach out to all of you, you know, you can express the level of interest that you have. And I think coming up with that survey, what do you have to offer is a good way to go about it. Where's your interest and your passion?
So Micah, that would be the umbrella kind of, is if you needed a small game of chance license?
Yeah, we
It would
have,
be the part of
we
survey.
have.
Cool.
The community partnership serves in that function for, like, the skate park committee is another example. So it's actually something that our organization is designed to do. So that you don't have to incorporate, you don't have to do a separate tax return, you don't have to open a separate bank account. You know, all the, if anybody here has been involved with an organization, all the paperwork that's involved with that. So you can actually concentrate on solving these challenges.
Are there going to be mission statements and bylaws? Will they create something like that too?
I don't know how, that would be up to the committee on what level they would want to.
How soon do you think the committee might be formed? Do you know? All right.
So-
Well, how about a director? Can a director still be appointed without having a committee?
Need to know what the use of the building is, or what the parameters of that decision
Yeah.
would be.
Maybe on the website have a place where people can put their interest, if they're interested in being in a committee, and then your board can vote on it and
Yep.
see who's based on the
That sounds good.
volunteers, has the most experience or whatever.
Also, some of the importance too. If you're going to have people, if you're going to open up or do stuff within the next few weeks, you're going to have to. If you're going to have youth in here, you have to have police checks, crime. You know what I mean? It's like $10. It don't cost much.
You wanna address that? Yeah.
Yeah, I would think if anybody was teaching classes in here, we would do the traditional child abuse clearance, criminal background check.
Yeah, you'd have to.
It's only $10.
You'd have to.
I can pass all of that.
Is it possible before we conclude today to set up another meeting date for committee members to be either voted in or thought of, or?
Well, like a physical meeting, like.
Well, I think anybody that's interested in a committee should like meet up front, you know, so like we can get like a start on it if anybody's interested in being in one. And then at the next one, put like one out on the internet and say anybody else interested in being a committee, and then we can have like a big meeting for that too. Just so there's a start, because that's the, you don't wanna pause.
So who's interested in continuing to another meeting, a follow-up meeting, follow-up physical meeting? Okay. So maybe, you know, after we summarize everything, get out the email. Should we set a date?
That would be the group too that would be getting involved with, you know, the software and stuff like that, I would imagine, right? Or
Yeah, initially, yeah. But I think, I don't know, want to set a date for like in a week to 10 days? Is that too soon?
Well, I think that would almost depend on how soon this could get out to
Yeah.
people.
Maybe this should get out first, so we have some.
I believe so, so
Yeah.
you may have other people out there.
Let's do it in 2 weeks to do something with it, gives us a chance to like pull all this together and get it out to people. And what is like a midweek, is a midweek time good for everybody, to like on a Wednesday evening? Yeah.
I think Sundays are nice for me.
Sometime early, like an early Wednesday evening or something like that. Like we had the open houses. Okay, so we'll get, in the email, we'll propose a couple of dates and we'll see which resonates the best with everybody, a couple dates and times. And, do something within 2 weeks. Yeah, check your emails. All right, is there anything else that anybody wants to add to today? I mean, the energy has been really great. I mean, everybody was engaged for the entire last 2 hours here. I just feel that there's a commitment to making this all happen. So.
This isn't, if I can just say something, this isn't just good for the center and for the artists, this is good for the community, for everybody within the community, whether they're residents or business owners, or people who just aren't even involved in anything else. This is good for our community, so everything that we do here as part of this is a contribution to the betterment of our community. So I'd just like to say thanks to everybody too for coming out and participating and looking so positively on these.
more cookies back there.
But if you haven't signed that with your email, sign, and even sign it.
You can sign with email instead of working with space online. It's gonna have information.